Hey everyone, I'm Logan Baldwin. I am the executive director of Klamath Film, and I'm back with Jason Rosenblatt, the writer, director, and editor for The Cross-Eyed Dominatrix. Um, I mentioned before that I'm a huge fan of your comedic style. Where did the inspiration for Dominatrix come from here?
Crystal had a dominatrix outfit that she had kept bugging me she wanted to use. She wanted to put it in play. And she had just had her braces taken off and everything we'd shot together during like the pandemic and that's how I met her. We'd shot a bunch of pieces where she had her braces and she had them out. And she's like, I have nothing for my reel now because everything I have has like me with braces in. Can we please do something before I go to LA without braces? I've got this. Can you write something about me, maybe a dominatrix thing? And I'm like, I don't know anything about dominatrix stuff, but sure. So I literally wanted to avoid actual dominatrix things by writing, yeah, somebody who's just a terrible, at one of those people who just has ACD and or not ACD, ADHD and just is terrible about getting places on time and with their phone charged and lost. And yeah, that way we got to avoid that. And then the other actor in that was the guy I went to high school with, who was he needed a little bit of an uplift in his life because he was on trial for shooting a gun in his house, and he like took it to trial, so it was like 2 years, and he was finally like actually going to trial and seeing how long, like they were threatening him with like 8 years. So he needed something else to think about. And he had to live with his mom because his dad had guns and wouldn't like relinquish them. So he couldn't like literally live in his dad's house where he used to live. So he had to live there. So there was no set decoration done. That was exactly how the house was. And that's actually his mom. And that, yeah, that's just his house. And anyway, so they had fun doing it. They're not actors though, but they did great, you know. And yeah, I just would basically like, okay, what if you showed up as a dominatrix at Barry's door? Which again, the credit Barry basically himself, I believe, is how he's
Basically
literally.
himself. Yeah,
So
that's
that's
right. That's right.
he only got 45 days. So, and actually he served them, and then once he got out, I believe we shot the part two. Um,
Part two.
well, we combined them into one. That's what you see is actually, I think on YouTube it's part one and two. Like the first one was 45 seconds and that got like 2 million views. And then
Oh.
the other one got like almost a million. I think it crossed a million views by now, but yeah. So, and then for festivals, I sort of combined them into one piece that's like, what, I don't know, 2 minutes or something like that. But
Yeah, three, something like that, right in there.
yeah.
Well, first of all, I think all of the performances were pretty great, including his mom. She killed it. She absolutely killed it. It's funny that you started talking about the parts, the different parts. One of my early notes for your shorts was give this man a show. I want to see more. And then I did some research earlier, and I found that this short was one of a series. How many more episodes do you have? I saw on IMDb like maybe you had four different parts.
Yeah, yeah. The when we shot Worst Therapist Ever, and I had Tomas Harangi, the director of photography, come up from Los Angeles. We shot about five different things, two more parts of Cross-Eyed Dominatrix, The Worst Therapist Ever, a real estate skit, and then part two of Braces, the short film we shot with Crystal where she had braces and somebody wanted to touch them, and it was very awkward Curb Your Enthusiasm style, comedy. And we had a follow-up where she didn't have braces anymore, um, which is called Braces 2, which yeah, doesn't make as much sense. But anyway, so we shot those five pieces, uh, and yeah, tried to expand that world. And currently I'm still working on a more flushed out actual pitch because again, of the number of views it got on YouTube, it's like we can potentially get a meeting, with one of these places and entertain the idea of actually getting funding for a like a full-on series. It's just a matter of like I had to do a lot of research about actual dominatrix stuff,
Uh-huh.
uh go to an actual sex dungeon in Portland, Sub Rosa, it's great, highly recommend. And I didn't want to disrespect that lifestyle and that culture. And yeah, so it's been sort of a journey for me getting a little bit out of my element where I'm like, I don't know if I'm the right person to write this, but it kind of fell in my lap and now I have to like be responsible with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's funny you mentioned the sex dungeon in Portland. I have the next question is being based in Portland, how has that sort of influenced your filmmaking style and the stories that you choose to tell? And so I'm glad that already it has helped you in some way with your research. You know, Portland's make Portland weird. Portland's a little weird, and you get to do research like that.
Yeah, Portland to me is just normal, but I grew up here. I left and I came back home. So I mean this is always but what I love about Portland compared to LA is like you walk into a bar in LA and it's like they've been asked a bunch of times like about filming there and they've either had a good experience or a bad experience or they want money or this or that. In Portland, they're like, what are you talking about? You want to film in my bar? And they'll show up at like, they'll come and stay late, for hours and watch you make a movie like in their bar because it's so novel and so different. And it's great. So in terms of resources and just like same thing. We can go, well, okay, before the fentanyl epidemic and the riots and everything else, we could just go downtown and film and it was no big deal. Now it's like I'd want, somebody just watching gear um and maybe our cars. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, it used to be just if I needed a place, it was just a matter of me walking in, asking who the owner is, who do I got to pay $15 to show up. And when we shot at the strip club for Vicious, they let us come back. The reason we had so many days of reshoots is that they basically let us keep coming back and then reshooting stuff as much as I needed to get it just right. If a place is like, yeah, no, we're done with that. Cool, thanks. But they liked my stuff. Um, and yeah, as long as somebody who was part of management was at the location, they would let us in and do whatever we wanted there, and it was great. So very welcoming, very cool with stuff. Yeah.
I
So
was just speaking with another filmmaker about that, about how once you go anywhere outside of LA, but especially in Oregon, it seems like Oregon is so open to independent filmmaking, and people around here, in Klamath Falls anyway, people around here are really, really excited about the idea of a movie shooting here, and they want to be extras, and they don't want anything for it and they just want to be near it. And businesses, they sometimes they don't care at all. I was speaking with a guy who shot a short in town here, and he needed a location for a coffee shop. And he went and showed up, and he told them what he wanted to do, and they came back later at the at whatever time, and they gave him the keys, and then they left
oh my
for
God.
the evening.
Yeah.
And he had all evening to do whatever he wanted, and then they showed up back later, and it was just so not everybody around here is so open to independent filmmaking, and that's really helpful for us around here.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you know Roland Safford.
I do, yeah. He shot here in Klamath Falls last year.
Right. I'm the assistant editor on all of his last three features. So yeah, the one backseat driver, whatever. I worked on that last year, and then One Dead Dog before that, which he shot in like Bend, and then yeah, the other one that I can't remember. But so yeah, I do occasionally work yeah, just doing assistant editing on those films. Um, but yeah, one thing that occurred to me with a place like Klamath, you go down there and then you make connections and then come back with a feature the next year. And if you plan it right, you can come down and shoot like a short film the same time, like make it a whole like week trip and really get as much bang for your buck. You bring the actors for the film and then they're also there and it's like, hey, when we're not doing the film festival thing, like let's shoot some scenes down here with this great scenery and whatever. So yeah, it's yeah, I'm really excited to be part of Klamath Film Festival. And I haven't been there since, I think if I've been to Klamath Falls, it was when I was like 20 years old, like visiting somebody, visiting a friend in college, down in Southern Oregon. So yeah, it's been a
Oh,
while.
totally. Well, we're excited to have you back. We're excited to have your two shorts in our film festival. And do you, how about this one? What's next for you as a filmmaker?
I'm well, Intersection, my second feature, is currently out accepting rejections from I think Chicago International and Bend. And then once those premiere whatever picky festivals submit their rejections, then I'm gonna blanket it around, other festivals like Bare Bones, Klamath, uh the Dublin Independent, excuse to go to Dublin. So things like that, and get it out there. And then also I'm working on a music documentary about my sort of he didn't work on either of these films, but the guy who does the sound editing for all my mixing for my features and a lot of my short films, a guy named Jason Wells, who's like in he's part of 6 different bands. So basically I made a documentary during the pandemic interviewing all his different bandmates and cutting that together. And so yeah. They also did a production of Jaws, an original production of Jaws the musical, which they wrote, which is amazing, um, and deserves its own like thing. But yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. It's called "Gonna Need a Bigger Boat," the Jason Wells story. So yeah, that's a basic music documentary. And that, and then working on the Cross-Eyed Dominatrix, like the pilot, I guess. Um, to see about pitching to networks. And yeah, literally I was polishing a script today right before our interview for that. So
Love
yeah.
it. Well, good luck with that. I really cannot wait to see more. I love the Cross-Eyed Dominatrix. I love your style. Before we close out, do you have any final words?
Thank you for accepting the films, and I look forward to seeing how audiences react to that. And yeah,
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jason Rosenblatt, for submitting. And the Cross-Eyed Dominatrix, as well as Worst Therapist Ever, will be available on Eventive for a limited time as part of our online showcase. I hope we see more from you in the future. Thank you so much, man.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.